Hello and welcome to episode 20 of my RuneScape tutorial Let's Play series. This episode is going to be on my favourite way to get your fishing skill up to catching swordfish and taking a look at what you catch as you level up fishing. So you remember previously in an episode I did a bit on fishing, and without doubt this is the best spot at Draenor Village, just next to the bank, to catch shrimp and anchovies. Fishing for these, I bypass big net fishing, and so if we take a look at the skill tree and if we go to fishing, you'll see I've got my fishing to 56, so not too shabby. So you could I start always on shrimp and anchovies, and whilst you can get other types of rod fishing, bait fishing, I don't tend to do that unless it's for a quest. The main thing is that I get my skill up and I'm fishing for a good food that can heal me whilst I do combat and fighting, and so it's really cool for that. For getting the lobsters is the main one. I used to fish 1,000 lobster and sell them at the Grand Exchange, but it's far quicker just to stick to oak logs, cutting them and selling them. So now I just use the fishing to get my cooking skill up and use the food that I cook for my combat. So anyway, you fish here and you will get your skill up to, I stay here fishing these, bypassing the net fishing, because you get all sorts of items from the big net fishing. Big net fishing starts at level 16, so I go beyond that. I go until I can fish with the harpoon to 35. So I will stay at this fishing spot until I'm about 35 in fishing. And if we go to the bank, now, if you do that, you should end up with about 700 odd shrimp and about nearly 400 raw anchovies, which will be absolutely fantastic for when we start on working on the cooking skill. These are very simple. They're the first thing that you can cook, and we'll be using a range. So that's great. Right, so after I've got my skill to 35 in fishing, I then head to Cafferby, and this is where I want to start showing you the different types of things that you can catch. So I'm going to show big net fishing first, then harpooning, and then lobster fishing. Okay, so there's a bank here, which is what makes this a cool place to fish. Now bear in mind that until we can get into the fishing guild, that's why I use these different places. Once we gain access to the fishing guild, which is fishing, I think it's 60 odd. So let's have a quick look so I can be accurate with the information. Oh no, I'm sure it's not that high. I must have missed it here. Oh, here we go. 68. Access to the fishing guild and deep sea. So it's the fishing guild is the best place to fish, which I will show once I've gained another 12 levels. Anyway, for now let's do some big net fishing first of all to show you what you can catch. I will go to the bank. I want to demonstrate this with an empty pocket because you can catch so many different items with big fish, big net fishing, and as you level up, more items get added to that range, so you can frog spawn once you get to your big net fishing leveled up a bit, and then you can start to catch other items. Okay, so we're going to go to the big net fishing first of all. I'm going to do a full pocket full of items to show you, just to show you what you average. Okay, so net fishing. Now hopefully it's not the small one, because you know about catching the small. Yeah, see, so that's the big net. So you can catch raw cod, mackerel, the thing with fishing you have to remember is the fishing spots will dry up, as in you'll catch all the fish. But basically what it is the fishing spots are there for a timed amount of time, and eventually after so many random amount of time it will disappear and appear somewhere else along the beach, which we then have to go and find. But there's bait fishing, net fishing, harpooning for tuna, swordfish and sharks. Sharks is very high skill to get to. Oh right, so here you can see I've caught a raw bass. The raw bass I think you start to catch at about level 35 fishing. Seaweed, you can get these clue scrolls. Leather gloves start dropping from about level 1. From when you can start big net fishing they start dropping, the leather armours. You can get gloves, boots. Seaweed is used for, I used to use it many years ago, seaweed, for making glass. So I'll have to look in, because so much has changed in RuneScape over the years. And I've had a few years break from RuneScape, I believe, at least. Oh, there's something new, an oyster. If you open the oysters, they have a random chance of you getting a gem, which you can then use in crafting to shape the gem and gain experience in crafting, and then you can embed it in jewellery. So that's really cool. So you can see here a good range of items you can catch from big net fishing. And what I'm going to do is just throw it all in the bank, because remember, all your fish can be used for cooking. Now the reason you're probably wondering why don't I like big net fishing, because you have to keep dropping all the leather items, which you don't really want because they're worth hardly nothing, so they're just annoying that you have to keep dropping them. So I don't like to level up that way, so let's just throw this all in the bank. You get the idea now of what sorts of items you can catch when doing big net fishing. Everything has a use. Even the leather armours for different quests might require that you have a pair of leather gloves or leather boots, so everything I hoard in the bank. There we go. Right, next let's take a look at harpooning. And I think it was 35 I said when you can start to harpoon. Yeah, so harpooning starts at level 35 fishing. And there we go. Now this harpooning spot I think is going to be sharks, so I'm not high enough, but let's show you if I try. Yeah, you have to be level 76 to catch the sharks. Now for those of you like myself that have been playing RuneScape for over 10 years, you'll remember that the different nets and fishing rods all used to have to be stored in your pocket. So now thankfully, of course, they're all stored on your tool belt, and that has to be, in my opinion, the biggest improvement since I last played. All of this, all your nets, small nets, big nets, fishing rod, all of that now is stored on your tool belt. Okay, so we can't fish sharks because I'm not high enough. So we're going to find tuna and swordfish. And you know when you find the right spot because it says cage fishing spot. So I'm going to right click and harpoon. But let's show my pocket to show what we catch. So I'm going to do a full pocket now of harpooning. So at 35 you will only be catching tuna, because you cannot catch swordfish until you get to level 50. So you'll be harpooning tuna until you get to 50. Well, you won't in actual fact. We're going to be going over to lobster fishing after, when my pocket's full. Okay, so that spot's gone. So we just go here now. I only got one swordfish from it. As you can see though, fishing does get much slower. The higher tier fish you fish for, the slower it tends to get. But the more, you'll notice that I catch many more swordfish than tuna now, because I'm at my level 56, whereas if I'd been level 50 I'd still probably be catching lots more tuna than swordfish. It always pays to level up a skill at least 10 levels higher than when you first go to that new resource. Like if I was to give you an example with wood cutting, you wouldn't go to the cutting willow trees until you're 10 levels over, when you could start cutting willow trees. Because one, people around you will be chopping the trees down much quicker than you, so you'll have to keep moving around trying to follow them and get some wood, and two, it'll be much slower. So that's why I always stick to getting 1,000 of each resource, because by the time you've got to the next tier up, you're very good at it. So you can see there I've got 4 swordfish to 3 tuna so far. Oh right, now it's equal. And you see the experience, you get 100 for catching a swordfish and 80 or 80 experience for catching a tuna. So yeah, I've got a ways to go before I can get to the fishing guild, but when I get to the fishing guild things will get very cool, because you can fish and go to and bank very close. Well, it used to be, I can't comment now actually, because that may have changed, because it has been at least 3 years since I've done fishing in RuneScape. Right, okay, that's enough, you get the idea. Generally though now, I tend to catch more swordfish, but because I've said that, it's going to probably give me more tuna now. But you could tell by the bank, the swordfish was slowly catching up the tuna. You can see, look, I'm getting more swordfish. Right, okay, next, let's have a look at lobster fishing. So lobster fishing, you use a cage and you just left click. Rather than having to right click for harpooning, now you just simply left click and it'll automatically start lobster fishing. There you go, with the cage. I think lobsters give, is it 90 experience? I missed it last time I caught lobster. Let's see what the next one says. Yeah, 90 experience for catching lobsters. So you can see, and this is what I do. When I get to 35 fishing, I harpoon until I get to lobster pot at 40. So I will harpoon until I get to 40. I will then catch 1,000 lobsters, and then I will go back to harpooning until I've got 1,000 tuna. Then I will try to get 1,000 swordfish, and hopefully by that time I'm normally near sharks. So then I want to go and fish 1,000 sharks. So you see, with fishing, I used to sell 1,000 raw lobsters at the Grand Exchange, but experience has taught me it's just much quicker to chop oak logs to get tons of money. Just to quickly show you how much these are worth, so let's go to the price checker. So a tuna is worth 37 gold. That's next to nothing, so not worth doing. No, I don't want to do that. I just want to remove that. Next we'll look at lobsters. Lobsters, you see, are worth the same, well, nearly the same amount or a bit more than the oak logs. Very nearly similar value, and it's far quicker to chop oak logs, well, especially once you've got a rune axe, hatchet and leveled your skill up. So 185 for the lobsters you'll get, and that's with them raw, because people like to train their cooking, so that's why they buy them at the Grand Exchange. The swordfish, 394 gold they are worth. Now you can see my fishing's now, it's 56. Wouldn't take that long, but it will still take a lot longer than oak logs. So I could probably cut 3,000 oak logs in the time it takes to fish 1,000 swordfish. So I would probably it'd be more enjoyable doing the wood cutting, because it just takes too long with this. So there we go, there's that. Right, okay, that's all I wanted to show in this episode, and that's how you can get your fishing up nicely to, in fact, now fishing for the 1,000 lobster, tuna and swordfish, that gets you into the fishing guild, which we will take a look at once I get high enough level. So I'll end fishing for now, and we'll look at it in the future. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep you safe. Thank you for watching, and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.